I'd never spent much time thinking about bad cops until I saw some abusing a stranger and called 911 to report the incident.
911 emergency.
I want to report improper conduct by a police officer.
Next thing you know, I'm getting beaten, arrested, and thrown in jail.
We live in Sin City. Any sick, twisted desire you want, you can have come true in this city.
There's two black men riding a nice Lexus. Of course, something had to be wrong with that. You even hear jackass say it. Do what you gotta do, because we gotta find something.
Do what you gotta do, because we gotta find something.
My client had been booked as Bill with the N-word as his middle name.
Criminals are badges.
And then they assassinate the character of the victim.
There was an exterior video, all of a sudden, that's missing.
That had to disappear, and it did.
I saw that damn car on TV, and I think that's my husband. You took from me the only person that ever cared I was alive.
I believe he came to kill somebody and get time off with pay, and it worked.
In my early career, it was like you get 6 weeks off, you shoot somebody. And it's good if you do it by Christmas. You get 6 weeks off at Christmas.
I will reboot the Metropolitan Police Department on the first day that I walk in.
Everybody is 100% backing Larry. It's department-wide.
Larry's definitely the underdog in this race.
Is Papa gonna be the next sheriff?
You have the outgoing sheriff who is trying to get his boy elected. The rest of the department doesn't want it, but that's where the money flows.
The finest police department in America.
Tonight, for the first time, we're hearing from a mother whose son died after a Metro police officer choked him.
She was at a movie screening promoting a new film about police corruption. Fox 5's Adam Herbets was there, and he joins us from our newsroom now with details. Adam?
Yeah, John, Christine, this was a 90-minute film that talked about a few high-profile cases within the last 5 years, but this mother couldn't even make it to the part about her own son without crying and having to leave the room. Eventually, she came back when it was over, and she said a few words. That crying in the background isn't from the video of Tashi Farmer Brown being tased 7 times. That was one of Tashi's family members who had to leave the room because she couldn't stand to see him choked to death.
This is initial contact.
One of the most disgraceful and outrageous killings in the LVMPD's disgraceful history.
Tashi's mother never even made it that far.
She just couldn't handle it. She was out, I mean, Trinita Farmer, unfortunately, was in the hallway crying.
She was very reluctant to even show up. I mean, she hasn't really left her home since the incident.
After the movie, she came back to thank everyone for their support.
Tashi was my heart. He was a good son, a good father, and he had a lot of dreams. They never gave him a chance. I call on District Attorney Wolfson to re-examine the case and charge this officer appropriately.
Kenneth LaPera is the first Metro officer to ever be charged for killing someone on duty. Police say he put Tashi in a rear-naked choke, even though the victim never committed a crime, and rear-naked chokes aren't allowed.
But notice, those charges are probationable. So even if he does get convicted, he's ultimately could end up in a situation where he doesn't serve any time. I think there's an illusion of accountability.
The film's director, Ramsey Dennison, says it all starts at the top with the sheriff.
He knew he had an election coming up. He knew it was caught on video. He knew it happened in a casino, and so he couldn't just make that video disappear.
He says even though Metro finally arrested a fellow officer, he still doesn't like the way they treated the victim by airing out his criminal history.
If he was really serious, I think that officer should have been charged with murder.
The director says he thinks most Metro officers are good. He thinks most shootings are justified, but his main issue is with Metro's administration. He thinks that the 90% of good officers are the ones who are forced to cover up the actions of the less than 10% of bad officers. This movie will be released in theaters, we expect, by the end of August. Reporting in the newsroom, Adam Herbets. John Christine will throw it back to you.
Adam, thank you.
Mother whose son was choked to death by officer speaks at anti-Metro film screening. Posted, July 21, 2017, 2:56 a.m. EDT. Updated, July 21, 2017, 3:11 a.m. EDT. Las Vegas, FOX5. Trinita Farmer, the mother of a man who was choked to death by an officer earlier this year, spoke publicly for the first time since her son's death at a film festival at the Paris Hotel and Casino. She attended the screening of a documentary that discussed corruption within the Las Vegas Metropolitan Police Department. Officer Kenneth Lopera was arrested and charged with involuntary manslaughter in June for performing a rear naked choke on Tashi Farmer Brown, resulting in his death. Police said the rear naked choke is not a technique that's taught or approved by the department. They also said Farmer Brown would not have been charged with the crime had he survived. The story of Lopera's choke and arrest was one of many stories documented by the film What Happened in Vegas. During the screening, Trinita Farmer couldn't even make it to the segment of the movie that features her son before she broke down in tears and had to leave the room. Another family member cried hysterically and left when the film showed body camera footage of Tashi Farmer Brown being tossed. The film's director, Ramsey Dennison, said it was painful to watch the family's reaction to the film. Trinita Farmer unfortunately was in the hallway crying, Dennison said. She just couldn't handle it, one of the most disgraceful and outrageous killings in the LVMPD's disgraceful history. She was very reluctant to even show up, executive producer Randy Wiles said. She hasn't really left her home since the incident. Eventually, the grieving mother returned when the film ended to thank people for attending and for showing their support. Tashi was my heart. He was a good son, a good father, and he had a lot of dreams. They never gave him a chance, she cried. I call on District Attorney Wolfson to re-examine the case and charge this officer appropriately. Those charges are probationable, Dennison said. Even if he does get convicted, he ultimately could end up in a situation where he doesn't serve any time. I think there's an illusion of accountability. That officer should have been charged with murder. Dennison said he's not a cop hater. He went so far as to say that he thinks the vast majority of LVMPD officers are good at what they do. Instead, he blamed Sheriff Joe Lombardo and ex-Sheriff Doug Gillespie for letting bad cops off the hook. I believe most killings are justified, and I believe there has been many cases where the LVMPD showed the footage, did the press conference, and it was completely justified, he said. I just hope the Las Vegas public can finally start holding their wildly corrupt police department accountable for their crimes. Aside from Tashi Farmer Brown's case, the film focuses on the deaths of Trevin Cole, Eric Scott, and Stanley Gibson. Lombardo had an election coming up. He knew the choke was caught on video. He knew it happened in a casino, so he couldn't just make that video disappear, Dennison said. I hope the LVMPD makes an example of Lopera and starts holding some of these other rogue cops accountable. Dennison said he decided to create the film after his own case with Metro was swept under the rug. The longtime television editor with many credits to his name was on vacation in Las Vegas when he said he witnessed police brutality and called 911 to report it. Then he said the officers found out and started beating and arresting him as a form of retaliation. These officers were torturing this guy and laughing at him and having a good time doing it, Dennison said. One of them stomps on my head with a boot, which you can see in my mugshot. It was awful. It was 2 minutes of not being able to breathe. Dennison said he filed an internal affairs complaint, but he couldn't prove that he was telling the truth because surveillance video in the area mysteriously disappeared the night of the arrest. The film is expected to be released in theaters in late August. Lopera was put on unpaid administrative leave. Copyright 2017 KBVU Broadcasting Corporation. All rights reserved.
Hey Charlotte County, this is Charlotte County Cop Watch, and I wanted to explain what fair use is. You can use pieces of news articles if you're doing it for news reporting, you have commentary, and you're doing it for education purposes. So that's what fair use is, as you can see right here. Another reason why I wanted to make this video is to let you know I have just joined with Patreon. A nice thing with Patreon, I make no money on YouTube. They took the money away years ago, and so this is another way to give, and it's a nice thing too because you can give monthly. You can give $1, $5, $10, whatever. I do 4 to 5 hours a day on trying to wake the sheeple up on how corrupt it is and different ways that you can fight the corruption. So Patreon is a way that you can do it, and then of course the old way is still there. Donate to Sheriff County Cop Watch with PayPal or credit card. So keep that in mind. 4 to 5 hours a day. I make no money, but the corruption happened to me and I'm sick of it, so I'm trying to wake people up. But my wife would love it if some, if we could get some help out there. There's 47,000 subscribers. Just think if each one of you subscribers just gave a, let's say, actually, yes, $1 a month. 47,000 subscribers gave $1 a month. That would be awesome. That's not going to happen. But anyways, that would be great if it did happen. But, do the math in your head. Just think about it. Like I said, 4 to 5 hours a day. I get no money from YouTube. YouTube has gone nuts. You can't do anything anymore. They're taking the money away everywhere. So these are a couple different ways that you can still help out with all this time that I put in. And as you know, I'm in a special situation where, at least I can do it. 4 to 5 hours a day. We have a cleaning company during the day. That's what allows me to do this, and we're debt-free. So this is my hobby. I don't go fishing and all that other crap. I try to save the world. So help me out to make the wife happy, man. In fact, if you guys did give $1 a day, and there was 47,000 of you, and you did it, and each of you gave $1, and that was every month, oh my God, yes, I could quit. I could start suing them. Another idea too that we have is, if I got, some funds, we could actually contact everyone that has been ticketed and or arrested and put in jail and start sending them postcards to let them know we're here, and to see if everything went all right, and if it didn't, find out their story. So we could even do more investigations and more lawsuits. Lawsuits take money. So just think about that. 47,000 of you so far right now. $1 a day. $1 a month on Patreon, or $5 a month Patreon, 10, 20, whatever. Just do the math in your head. Help out. This is a lot of work every single day. Thanks.